Good morning. We're going to do an in-service on how to properly use a gait belt when getting a patient out of the bed to the bedside commode. This is Verna, our physical therapist, and Anna, our patient.
All right. So good morning, everyone. Anna here is our patient, and let's just pretend that she has a right hip done, or a right knee, doesn't matter, but it's the right leg that had surgical intervention. So getting a patient out, of course, the most important thing as a therapist is a gait belt. Gait belt really saves a lot of the falls. It's just knowing where the shift of the, when the patient sits up or even standing, the balance where the patient's gonna fall, so you can easily correct it before the patient really falls. So gait belt has been very vital to all the therapists when we're getting patients out of bed. But I think the most important thing for getting patients out is really communication. If you're a patient and you touch a patient, the first reaction, especially if it's the first time they're getting up, is they're gonna resist it because they're afraid of pain. Everybody's always gonna anticipate the pain, so you're probably gonna get that resistance. So communication is the most important thing, and reassuring the patient that you're gonna be gentle and you are gonna, talk them through the process and not surprise them. So Anna here with the right leg. All right, so I'm gonna talk to Anna. So Anna, we're gonna get up, one from physical therapy, and we're gonna do this slowly, one step at a time. I'm gonna start with your good leg, okay? So just a few inches towards me. So this is important that even when you're touching the good leg, and I always start as a therapist, starting with a good leg, because that gives them sense of like reassurance that, okay, they're not really that rough. I can do this. So I'm gonna start with that good leg. I'm gonna move this foot just a few inches towards me, Anna, okay? And then we're gonna do the bad leg here. Okay, just a few inches towards me if you don't mind, okay? Just right there. If you can help me, that would be really great. Okay, and let's move the left leg again. And then just move it towards the end a little bit like this, okay? So are you okay so far? Mm-hmm. Okay. So getting up, okay? Or if you can push up with your arms, I'd rather have you do that. And I'm gonna support your leg here, okay? I'm gonna help you a little bit, okay? And then can you scoot forward? And it's really important that you support the leg because, like I said, if they're not able to help, that would just drop down. If you're gentle enough, they will be able to help you. Next important thing the next thing I'm gonna do is the most important thing for me is my gait belt. Okay, I'm gonna put this belt around you, and again, talk to the patient so they know what you're doing. They're not gonna feel that resistance where they feel like, what are you doing right now? Are you strapping me in that? So this is just to help me help you. Okay, and then make sure it's nice and tight. Just so that the gait belt, even if it's tight when it's sitting, it always loosens up when they stand. So just make sure it's nice and snug. Talk to the patient what we're gonna do. So if this is the case of a right hip, you always want to position, and this is the most important thing, position the commode on the good side. So it will be on the left. If you're transferring to a chair would still be on the left side, especially if you do not know how the patient's gonna do. A lot of times you can always psychologize if the patient is really resistive or not. Especially when they're resistive, I move that chair and make sure that they're positioned. The transfer training I'm gonna show here is not gonna be for the easy patients, because the easy patients are not gonna be, they're gonna be easy for you guys. So considering that, let's say Anna is a difficult patient and she's resisting and she does not want to do anything, okay, and she might not be wanting to stand. So I'm going to pretend that Anna is a maxicist who does not want to stand. All right. So in this case, you want to position the good leg a little bit in the middle like this. Okay. If it's a normal case, you always try to bend the knee. But if the patient does not want to stand, you want to position the leg a little bit in the middle. Okay. So that when you're transferring the patient, okay, I'm going to show it first through here. When you're transferring the patient and they won't do that step, it's easy for them to pivot like this. They don't even have to take a step. If your foot is behind here and you're trying to stand a patient, what's going to happen is they're going to be twisted like this, and that's when things buckle, or the legs buckle, or the knees buckle. So you want to position, if you know that Anna's going to be a hard one or a big patient, or and she does not want to do anything, you want to position the foot a little bit in the front like this. Okay, can you bend this just a little bit for me, Anna? I'm not going to use a walker for now. Let's just do a stand pivot. Okay. So I'm gonna need you to hold on to me right here, okay? And then, see this left leg here? I'm just gonna, for the camera purposes, like hold on to me right here. I'm gonna let you stand, Anna, and use that left leg and turn. Like that. That would be just a stand pivot transfer, especially if the legs are buckling. I'm gonna do it again towards the other side. Well, if it's a patient that can't stand, obviously we can use a walker. Okay. Push up from the chair. Stand. Okay. Hold onto the walker, and then just slowly. Okay. And then this is when you can slowly just turn the patient. Okay. Move your feet, and you have to take time. Reach back. And here's the thing too, before the patient sits, always have them slide their right foot forward, otherwise they're just gonna drop on that commode. All right. One thing also that I've noticed that a lot of the commodes are too high. I know it's good when you have a hip or a knee, but just remember, we had a few also incidents a few years ago that the fall was when they were in commode. I had one too myself, but because sometimes when the commode is too high and the feet are hanging up like this, and you gotta remember that the commode's purpose also is for patients to push up with the railing. It's not about the height so much sometimes. When you have a short patient, you don't really want to put a high commode in there. When they start to lean on the side to attempt to wipe themselves, that's when they fall off. So just make sure that the feet are on the floor. Adjust the height of the commode. Adjust the height of the commode. If you have to step back, at least where the knee bends, so that it will be a nice 90-degree or a little bit slide like that. Because you know that, like Anna right now, can you scoot back, Anna? You can see that the feet's gonna be hanging. If this is a painful knee or hip, they're gonna be very uncomfortable in the commode. And what's gonna happen is gonna cut the circulation. And when they stand, they buckle because they didn't realize that they've been sitting in that too long and cutting their circulation. So just make sure that you're always the hard part with the commode though is also if you have to transfer back in bed, now you're stuck with the bad side towards the bed. Alright, but can you stand up for me for a second, Anna? So let's go back to that original position right here. So now I did it right. I transferred the patient to the good side. It was okay. Now I have to put the patient back in the bed. Now this is how you're gonna, this is the challenging part. Of course, you're only 2%. If you're gonna, so you're gonna have to play with the positioning part. Sorry, this up one more time. Okay, so you want to make sure that when you're transferring and Anna cannot stand, you're gonna position this a little bit more like this again. This one forward. This is the bad side. All right, can you scoot forward a little bit for me, Anna? All right, okay, and then position this a little bit more like this, so that when you're standing, all right, okay, go ahead and push up from the chair. Hold onto the walker and just pivot to the left. You're close there, okay? And go ahead and sit down. So basically, it's really a lot of feet positioning. If you are positioned like this, the same concept. If the patient cannot walk, you're twisting the leg. So you just have to make sure that if I'm positioning on the so you just position it. If you're going to that side, how am I supposed to position the good side where if the patient cannot stand, I can just do this one here without even moving the feet. Otherwise, it's gonna be like this and twisting. All right. So it's a lot of feet positioning. Just kind of like know your patients, if they're gonna cooperate or not, if they can stand or not. I usually want to do a trial of how much they can push up first before I decide how I'm gonna transfer the patient. If you'd like to do that first, but other than that. That's it.
Thank you. That was amazing. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.